December 14th, 2012. Newtown, Connecticut. Looks like a Christmas card. Snow-dusted lawns, twinkling lights, kids laughing on their way to school. But inside a modest colonial house on Yanton Drive, 20-year-old Adam Lanza is already awake. He hasn't spoken to another human in days. His mother, Nancy, is still asleep upstairs. On the kitchen table sits a Bushmaster XM15 rifle, freshly bought with her money. Adam stares at his reflection in the black monitor screens that line his basement lair. Screens that once flashed with violent video games, now dark and silent. Something inside him has snapped weeks ago, maybe years. Today, that darkness is ready to spill out into the world. Nancy Lanza loved guns. She took her socially withdrawn son to the range, hoping it would bring them closer. Adam was obsessed with mass shootings. Columbine printouts covered his walls. Spreadsheets of killers filled his hard drive. He weighed 112 pounds, hadn't eaten properly in weeks, and hadn't left the house except at night. That morning, he shot his mother 4 times in the face as she slept. Then, he dressed in black combat gear, grabbed her AR-15, 2 handguns, and over 1,000 rounds. He smashed his computer hard drives with a hammer. Evidence gone forever. At 9:30 a.m., he pulled up to Sandy Hook Elementary in his mother's Honda Civic. The glass door explodes under rifle fire. Principal Dawn Hochsprung and school psychologist Mary Sherlach run toward the sound, thinking it's construction noise. Adam guns them down in the hallway. Teachers scream, "Lockdown!" Children are shoved into closets and bathrooms. 6-year-olds huddle under desks while the fire alarm blares. In classroom 10, substitute teacher Lauren Rousseau tries to hide her students. Adam enters, says nothing, and opens fire. 20 first graders and 6 staff members die in less than 11 minutes. The smell of gunpowder mixes with crayons and little kid perfume. Police swarm the school within minutes. Adam hears the sirens, walks into a classroom closet, puts a Glock to his chin, and pulls the trigger. When officers find him, his eyes are still open, staring at the ceiling. Outside, parents clutch each other in the firehouse parking lot, waiting for children who will never walk out. The nation watches in horror as the names are read: Charlotte, Daniel, Olivia, Josephine, Dylan, Madeline. Tiny faces on a screen that will haunt America forever. Investigators descend on the Lanza home. They find a basement turned shrine to violence. Newspaper clippings, a Santa-suited shooting target riddled with bullets, an NRA certificate in Nancy's name. Adam's online posts under the name Smiggles show years of isolation, anorexia, and obsession with death. No manifesto, no clear motive. Just fragments of a mind that had quietly unraveled. The smashed hard drives yield almost nothing. Connecticut's final report is 6,500 pages long and still ends with one chilling sentence: the cause of the shooting remains unknown. Sandy Hook becomes the deadliest elementary school shooting in U.S. history. Conspiracy theorists swarm, claiming it was staged. Parents receive hate mail calling them crisis actors. 10 years later, the town still keeps Christmas decorations muted. A new Sandy Hook school rises, surrounded by forest, hidden from the road. Every December 14th, 26 stars are lit on the firehouse roof, one for each victim. And somewhere, in the silence of that rebuilt classroom, you can still almost hear the laughter of children that was taken away in 11 unimaginable minutes. May 24th, 2022, started like any other scorching Texas morning. Kids in Uvalde were counting down the last days before summer break. At exactly 11:28 a.m., an 18-year-old named Salvador Ramos posted on Facebook, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother." Minutes later, "I shot my grandmother." And finally, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school." His grandmother, lying bleeding in their small house, managed to call 911. Ramos grabbed the two Daniel Defense AR-15 style rifles he'd bought legally on his birthday, 1,400 rounds, and a bag of magazines. He crashed his truck into a ditch outside Robb Elementary and walked toward the west entrance, wearing body armor and a dead-eyed stare. A teacher saw him jump the fence with the rifle and screamed into the intercom, "Code Black! Code Black!" But the doors had been propped open with a rock. Ramos walked straight in at 11:33 a.m. In room 111 and 112. Fourth graders were laughing over an awards ceremony that had just ended. The first bursts of gunfire sounded like fireworks. Then came the screams. 19 officers arrived within 3 minutes and stacked outside the classroom door while Ramos kept firing. For 77 agonizing minutes, children trapped inside called 911, whispering, "Please send the police. He's shooting." Some played dead in pools of their friends' blood. Inside room 112, 11-year-old Maya Cirillo smeared her best friend's blood over herself and lay still as Ramos walked between the desks. He shot the teacher in the head, then played sickeningly loud music on a phone. "I Wanna Die" by Lil Wayne. One little girl, Amiri Jo Garza, had just gotten her phone for good grades. She tried to call her mom. Ramos shot her first. Parents outside begged police to go in. Officers held them back at gunpoint. At 12:50 p.m., 77 minutes after the first 911 call, a tactical team finally breached the door. Ramos was killed instantly. 19 children and 2 teachers lay dead. 10-year-old Xavier Lopez had told his mom that morning, "I look so handsome for awards day." He never came home. Irma Garcia and Eva Morales died shielding their students. The crime scene photos are so horrific that Texas lawmakers voted to seal them forever. Body cam footage later showed officers checking their phones, using hand sanitizer, and fist bumping while kids bled out 20 feet away. The nation screamed for answers. Uvalde Police Chief Pete Arredondo insisted He thought it was a barricaded subject, not an active shooter. Ramos had been bullied mercilessly, called school shooter as a joke because of his stutter and the way he dressed in all black. He cut up his face with knives for fun, sent girls photos of guns, and asked, "Want to see something cool? On Yubo." He worked at Whataburger just long enough to buy the rifles. His grandfather, who he lived with, had no idea the weapons were in the house. He was a felon, and they were illegal in his presence. On Snapchat the night before, Ramos messaged a German girl he'd never met. "I'm about to." She asked about to what? He never replied. Uvalde changed everything and nothing. Crosses line the town square with teddy bears that never fade. Parents tattoo their children's names on their arms. The school is being torn down, replaced by a new one miles away. In 2024, 400 officers were indicted or fired, but no one has gone to prison. Every May 24, the town goes silent at 11:33 a.m. And somewhere, a mother still sleeps with her dead child's bloody handprint shirt because it's the last thing that still smells like him. Monday morning, April 16th, 2007. The Virginia Tech campus is buzzing. Spring flowers, students rushing to class. At 7:15 a.m. in West Ambler Johnston dorm, 23-year-old Sung Hui Cho shoots 2 freshmen in room 4040. R.A. Ryan Clark tries to help. Cho kills him too. Then, nothing. Cho walks back to his own dorm, changes clothes, deletes his emails, and mails a package to NBC News. For 2 hours, he is a ghost on a campus of 30,000 people. Police think it's a domestic murder-suicide. They have no idea the worst college shooting in history is just warming up. At 9:40 a.m., Cho walks into Norris Hall carrying 2 pistols, 400 rounds, and chains. He padlocks the 3 main entrances from the inside. Professors are teaching French, German, advanced hydrology. Students are laughing about weekend parties. Cho starts on the 2nd floor. In room 207, 76-year-old Professor G.V. Loganathan is killed instantly. Students dive under desks as bullets tear through walls. Across the hall, survivor Colin Goddard records the gunfire on his phone. 33 seconds of pure terror. Cho moves methodically, reloading calmly, saying almost nothing. In room 211, part-time hero Professor Liviu Librescu, a Holocaust survivor, barricades the door with his body so his students can jump from the 2nd floor window. He is shot 5 times through the door and dies. Student Walid Shalan shields a classmate and takes a bullet to the head. Cho walks room to room like he's checking items off a list. When police finally breach the chained doors at 9:51, Cho puts a Glock to his temple and fires. 32 people are dead, 17 wounded. The smell of cordite hangs heavy in the spring air. The package mailed to NBC arrives 2 days later. 23 QuickTime videos, 43 photos, and 1,800-word manifesto. Cho rants about rich kids debauchery, and martyrs like Eric and Dylan. His face is twisted in rage, guns pointed at the camera. He calls himself Ismail Axe. Classmates remember a silent boy who never spoke, who wrote violent stories about killing, who answered questions with long, terrifying stares. Mental health records show he'd been ordered to outpatient treatment in 2005 and then disappeared from the system. Virginia Tech installs 500 security cameras and text alerts because of Cho. The federal gun background check system is strengthened slightly. Cho had bought his guns legally, despite a court finding him an imminent danger to himself. His family releases a statement, begging forgiveness. His sister works for the State Department, trying to prevent violence. Every April 16th, 32 stones form a memorial circle on the drill field. At night, they glow softly, and students still leave flowers for people they never met. Sung Hui Cho became the blueprint for every school shooter after him. The manifesto video, the mailed media package, the two-stage attack to maximize casualties. His videos are still studied by criminologists and worshipped by a dark corner of the internet. Virginia Tech students now practice run, hide, fight. And every year, when the dogwoods bloom pink on campus, someone places a single white candle on the stone that reads Emily Hilscher, the first girl he killed that morning, the one who started it all. Valentine's Day, 2018. Parkland, Florida, is all heart balloons and chocolate. At 2:21 p.m., a lift drops off 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz at the school he was expelled from a year earlier. He's wearing a burgundy Stoneman Douglas shirt, like he still belongs. In his black duffel, an AR-15, smoke grenades, and a GoPro he hopes will make him famous. As he walks toward Building 12, the 1200 building, he passes freshmen, laughing about crushes. The fire alarm goes off at 2:23. Cruz had pulled it himself. Chaos is his friend. Students pour into the hallways thinking it's a drill. Cruz starts on the first floor. Geography teacher Scott Beigel ushers kids into his room and locks the door. Cruz shoots him through the window. In room 1216, 14-year-old Gina Montalto is shot while doing homework. Football coach Aaron Face runs toward the gunfire and is killed shielding students. Cruz moves floor to floor like he's practiced it 100 times. The rifle jams. He clears it calmly. He fires into locked doors, shattering glass, hunting anyone who moves. Freshman Chris McKenna hides in a closet and live streams on Snapchat. "There's a shooter at my school, bro." 15-year-old Anthony Borges uses his body to hold a door closed, taking 5 bullets so his classmates can live. When Cruz reaches the 3rd floor, he sees students fleeing and opens fire down the hallway. Security footage catches him smiling slightly. At 2:27, just 6 minutes after it started, he drops the rifle, blends in with escaping students, and walks to Walmart for a soda, then McDonald's. Police catch him an hour later, walking down a residential street. 17 dead, 17 wounded. The nation meets heroes. Alyssa Al-Hadef, who dreamed of pro soccer. Jaime Guttenberg, whose dad started orange ribbons for Jaime. Peter Wang in his ROTC uniform, holding the door. Cruz told police he heard demons telling him, "Burn, kill, destroy." Instagram posts showed him with guns, knives in frogs, dead animals. He'd carved swastikas into magazines and wrote, "I want to kill people," in YouTube comments. The FBI had been warned twice and did nothing. The survivors refuse to be silent. Emma Gonzalez stares down Congress in a speech watched by millions. "We call BS. March for Our Lives is born." Florida passes red flag laws and raises the rifle age to 21. Then quietly guts the laws years later. Cruz pleads guilty and is sentenced to life without parole. After a penalty phase so graphic, jurors cried. He still gets fan mail and marriage proposals in jail. Parkland parents tattoo angel wings and fight every day so their kids didn't die for nothing. Building 12 still stands, frozen in time. Bullet holes in the walls, dried blood on the floor. The school board can't decide whether to tear it down or make it a memorial. Every February 14th, 17 beams of light shoot into the Florida sky. Survivors graduate, go to college, get 2 1418 tattoos. And somewhere, a mother still keeps her murdered daughter's phone on the charger because sometimes, late at night, she swears she hears it buzz with a new text that will never come. April 20th, 1999, Littleton, Colorado. Eric Harris wakes up angry, like every day. In his journal, "I hate you people for leaving me out of so many fun things." Dylan Klebold, tall and shy, writes about love and suicide. They've been planning Judgment Day for a year. In Eric's garage, propane tanks turned into bombs, pipe bombs with alarm clock timers, sawed-off shotguns named Arlene and Savage. At 11:10 a.m., they park in separate lots. Eric in the senior spaces, he's not allowed. Dylan near the cafeteria. They wave at friends like it's just another day. 11:19 a.m. The bombs in the cafeteria, set to explode at maximum lunch crowd, fail to detonate. Plan A is dead. So they start Plan B. Eric and Dylan walk in wearing black trench coats, carrying duffels. They prop a table against the exit doors so no one can escape. Then open fire on the hillside. 2 students fall. Inside, teacher Dave Sanders is shot in the hallway while directing kids to safety. He bleeds out over 3 hours, while 911 tells students help is on the way. The boys throw pipe bombs like grenades, laughing in the library. 49 kids hiding under tables. Eric yells, "Get up." When no one moves, he says, "Fine, I'll start shooting anyway." They kill 10 people in 7 minutes. Cassie Bernal is asked if she believes in God. The story says she said yes and died a martyr. Truth is more complicated. They taunt Isaiah Shoals with racial slurs before murdering him. When police finally approach, Eric and Dylan walk calmly to the library windows, fire at them, then sit down at a table. At 12:08 p.m., they kill themselves. Eric with a shotgun to the roof of his mouth. Dylan to the side of his head. 13 dead, 24 wounded. The library smells like gunpowder and blood for weeks. The cafeteria bombs are found ticking, diffused just in time. Basement tapes show Eric and Dylan practicing, saying goodbye to their parents, apologizing in advance. The tapes are locked away forever. Jefferson County Sheriff lies about knowing the killers were dangerous. Parents of victims scream for the truth. Columbine becomes the most famous school shooting in history. Every shooter after wants to top the body count. The trenchcoat mafia myth explodes. Marilyn Manson is blamed. Violent video games are blamed. The truth? Eric was a charming psychopath who fooled adults. Dylan, a depressed follower who found purpose in destruction. They idolized natural-born killers and called their attack NBK. Rachel Scott's funeral is broadcast nationwide. Her dad starts a kindness movement. The library is torn down, replaced with an atrium. 2 white beams shine into the sky every night from the new building. Columbine never really ended. It birthed the active shooter era. Lockdown drills, clear backpacks, see something, say something. The killer's journals leak online anyway. Kids still worship them on Tumblr and TikTok. Every April 20th, the school cancels classes. Survivors struggle with PTSD, addiction, survivor's guilt. And in quiet moments, when the wind moves through the trees behind the school, some swear they can still hear 2 boys laughing in the distance. Forever 17 and 18. Forever trapped in 1999. Midnight, July 20th, 2012. Century 16 Theater in Aurora, Colorado is packed with 400+ fans for the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises. The air smells of popcorn and excitement. Outside in the parking lot, 24-year-old James Holmes sits in his Hyundai, wearing black body armor. His bright red hair, now dyed Joker green, under the tactical helmet. He bought the ticket weeks ago, sat through the first previews, then quietly walked out the emergency exit, propping it open with a small plastic table clip. In the car, Smith & Wesson AR-15, Remington 870 shotgun, 2 Glock 40s, 6,000 rounds, tear gas canisters, and a playlist titled Terrorizer blasting through his headphones. At 12:38 a.m., he pulls the mask down and walks back in. The theater is pitch black except for the glow of Gotham on screen. Holmes throws 2 gas canisters. They hiss and spew choking white smoke. People think it's a stunt until the first shotgun blast lights up The darkness. Screams drown out the movie. He fires the AR into the ceiling, then sweeps Rose like a video game. Ashley Moser, pregnant, is shot in the belly. Her 6-year-old daughter, Veronica, falls dead beside her. Jonathan Blunk pushes his girlfriend, Jansen Young, under the seat and takes 3 bullets so she can live. People crawl over bodies toward exits that are locked or blocked by fallen friends. Blood runs ankle deep down the slanted floor. 12 dead in minutes. 58 wounded by bullets. 12 more by shrapnel and trampling. Holmes walks out the same exit at 12:45. Calmly drops the rifle in the trunk and stands by his car, waiting for police. When they arrive, he says, "I'm the Joker." His apartment 5 miles away is booby-trapped with napalm, tripwires, and 30 homemade grenades. If police had opened the door wrong, half the block would have vanished. Inside, Batman posters, a script titled "The Life of a Madman," and a psychiatrist's notebook where he drew spirals labeled "Y" over and over. Holmes was a neuroscience PhD student who aced every exam until one day he just stopped. Friends said he became a ghost, talking about dysphoric mania and the meaninglessness of everything. He sent his psychiatrist a package with burnt $20 bills and a warning she never opened in time. Aurora victims become the faces you can't forget. Matt McQuinn shielding his girlfriend. Alex Sullivan celebrating his 27th birthday. Little Veronica Moser Sullivan, who loved mermaids. Theater 9 stays closed forever, turned into a memorial with 12 seats removed and stars painted on the ceiling. Survivors start Aurora Strong. Tattoo 12 birds flying in formation. Every July 20th at 12:38 a.m., 12 lanterns rise over the town pond, while the Batman theme plays softly in the background. Holmes wanted to be remembered forever. Instead, people remember the heroes. The tragedy forces the first real conversation about high-capacity magazines and mental health reporting. Yet, nothing truly changes. Theater 9's door still has the bullet holes sealed behind glass. And when the credits roll on any Batman movie now, somewhere in the darkness of a theater, someone quietly counts the exits and wonders if the person next to them is carrying more than popcorn. Wednesday night Bible study at Emmanuel AME Church, Charleston, South Carolina. The air is thick with love and air conditioning. 9 parishioners welcome a skinny 21-year-old white boy with a bowl haircut who says he's looking for God. They give him a seat and a Bible. For almost an hour, Dylan Roof sits quietly while 87-year-old Susie Jackson talks about forgiveness. Then he pulls a Glock 41 from his fanny pack and says, "I have to do it. You're raping our women and taking over our country." The first shot hits Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton in the back as she tries to run. He reloads 5 times, 77 rounds total. Tywanza Sanders, 26, begs him to stop. Roof shoots him, then says, You've got to go. Cynthia Hurd, librarian and mother of two, dies shielding her cousin. Myra Thompson, who had just been approved as a pastor that night, is killed mid-prayer. Ruth lets one woman live to tell the story and tells Polly Shepard, "I'm not going to shoot you. I need you to tell them what happened." When police catch him 250 miles away the next morning, he confesses on video, "I wanted to start a race war." The church, founded in 1816 by slaves, has seen lynchings, earthquakes, and fire. But never this. 9 dead, all black, all shot in their sanctuary. Rufe's website, The Last Rhodesian, features him wearing a jacket with apartheid-era flags, holding a Confederate flag and a gun. His 2,500-word manifesto rages about black-on-white crime, copied straight from white supremacist forums. He almost didn't do it, said the kindness of the church members made him waver. But someone had to. At the bond hearing, victims' families do the impossible. "I forgive you," says Nadine Collier, daughter of Ethel Lance. The world watches stunned as one after another offers mercy to the boy who showed none. Rufe wanted division. Charleston responds with unity. Thousands link arms across the Ravenel Bridge. He fires his lawyers and represents himself at trial, just to read his manifesto again. Death sentence comes Christmas Eve, 2016. He becomes the first federal hate crime defendant sentenced to die. Emmanuel's doors stay open every Wednesday night. The basement still smells of old hymnals and the blood that's soaked into the carpet. The Charleston 9 portraits hang where the table once stood. Reverend Anthony Thompson starts a forgiveness ministry in his wife Myra's name. Rufe sits on federal death row in Terre Haute, writing letters claiming he's not sorry and still proud. The Confederate flag is finally removed from South Carolina's Capitol grounds because of 9 people who just wanted to study the Book of Mark. Every June 17, Mother Emanuel rings its bell 9 times at 9:00 p.m. The city stops. White and black strangers hug in the street. Dylan Rufe's name is rarely spoken anymore. Instead, people say, "The Emanuel 9, and feel the power of radical love that refused to hate back. And in that small basement room, if you stand very still on a Wednesday night, you can almost hear Susie Jackson's soft voice, welcoming the next stranger through the door. Saturday morning, August 3rd, 2019. The Walmart in El Paso is packed with back-to-school shoppers and Mexican families crossing the border for deals. At 10:39 a.m., 21-year-old Patrick Crucius from Allen, Texas, steps out of his Honda Civic in the parking lot wearing cargo pants, shooting ear protection, and carrying an AK-47 variant. 10 hours earlier, he posted a 2,300-word manifesto on 8chan titled "The Inconvenient Truth," blaming Hispanic invasion and praising the Christchurch shooter. He opens fire in the parking lot first. People think it's fireworks until bodies start dropping. He walks toward the entrance like he's going grocery shopping. A mother and father shield their 2-month-old baby. Both die. Jordan Anchondo falls on top of her infant. The baby survives with broken fingers from the impact. Arturo Benavides, Army veteran, is gunned down, waving goodbye to his wife. Crucius reloads calmly, walks aisle to aisle, targeting anyone who looks Hispanic. Security footage shows him executing a woman crawling away. In 4 minutes, he murders 23 people from age 25 to 90, wounds 23 more, then drives away like nothing happened. He surrenders 20 miles later on a highway, hands up, telling officers, "I'm the shooter." In interrogation, he says he wanted to kill as many Mexicans as possible and expected to die. His twin sister says he'd been distant since high school, obsessed with guns and eco-fascism. His manifesto quotes the Great Replacement theory word for word. Police find no criminal record, no mental health flag, just a quiet kid who spent 10 months planning genocide while living in his parents' house 600 miles away. El Paso, a city that prides itself on being the safest in America, bleeds. Victims include a 15-year-old soccer player, a German citizen shopping with his wife, an American citizen returning baby gifts. The memorial becomes a sea of flowers, cowboy hats, and Virgin Mary candles. Andre and Jordan Anchondo's baby Paul celebrates his first birthday without parents. Crucius pleads guilty to 90 federal charges. To avoid execution, he gets 90 consecutive life sentences. The judge calls him pure evil. The Walmart reopens 3 months later with a permanent memorial, a giant golden obelisk engraved with 23 names. Every August 3rd, the store closes and employees stand in silence at 10:39 a.m. Survivors start El Paso strong and raise millions for victims. The shooting becomes Exhibit A every time politicians talk about the border invasion. Crucius sits in federal prison, reportedly telling guards he has no regrets and would do it again. At night, the memorial glows soft yellow against the Texas sky. Families still bring fresh flowers and children's drawings that say, "Te queremos." The parking spot where it started is painted with a permanent heart. And every time someone crosses from Juarez to shop, they pause, look at the obelisk, and whisper a quiet prayer that hate never wins again, even though they know, deep down, that somewhere another quiet boy is already writing the next manifesto. Saturday afternoon, May 14th, 2022. The Tops Friendly Market on Jefferson Avenue is the only grocery store in East Buffalo's Black neighborhood. Grandmothers buying collard greens, kids begging for candy. At 2:30 p.m., 18-year-old Peyton Gendron from Conklin, New York, steps out of his car in full military gear, helmet cam live streaming to Twitch, plate carrier, the word written in white on his rifle barrel. He spent months scouting the zip code with the highest black population to white ratio. He starts in the parking lot, executing 63-year-old Geraldine Talley getting out of her car. He walks inside screaming racial slurs. Retired cop Aaron Salter Jr., working security, fires at him. The bullets bounce off the armor. Gendron kills him with a headshot and keeps moving. Hayward Patterson, beloved deacon who drove people to the store, is gunned down, loading groceries. Celestine Cheney, 65, shopping with her sister, dies buying strawberries for shortcake. Gendron drives away, stops when police surround him, puts the rifle to his own neck, then surrenders. His 180-page manifesto is a love letter to Brenton Tarrant and Patrick Crusius, complete with maps of the store he drew by pretending to be a surveyor. He wrote he chose Buffalo because New York has strict gun laws. He lied on the background check about mental health after being hospitalized for threatening his high school. The rifle had "Here's your reparations" scratched into it. Buffalo's black community is shattered. Roberta Drury, buying dinner for her brother with cancer. Ruth Whitfield, 86, visiting her husband in the nursing home. The store becomes a shrine of teddy bears and balloons. Tops closes for months. Food desert returns. Gendron pleads guilty in state court to avoid death penalty. Gets life without parole while sobbing in court. Federal trial for hate crimes and terrorism is pending. Prosecutors again seek death. He tells the judge, "I wish I felt remorse, but I can't." The community responds with radical love. Tops reopens with a permanent memorial of 10 eternal flames. Fragrance, Harris Stanfield, daughter of Ruth Whitfield, starts Good Neighbors to feed seniors. Survivors speak at the White House. New York passes laws requiring semi-auto rifles to be registered and social media companies to report violent threats. Gendron's parents are charged for letting him have guns after the psych hold. The helmet cam footage is sealed forever. Every May 14th, Jefferson Avenue goes silent at 2:30 p.m. 10 butterflies are released in front of the store. Shoppers still come, but they hug a little longer at the door. The parking lot is painted with a giant heart and the words, "Love wins." And somewhere in a prison cell, an 18-year-old who wanted to be infamous now spends 23 hours a day alone, writing letters no one answers, while the city he tried to break keeps choosing love over and over again. April 20th, 1999. Dylan Klebold wakes up at 5:30 a.m. in his quiet suburban house. He's 17, 6'4", shy, awkward, heartbroken over a girl who barely knows he exists. His journal is full of hearts and suicide notes. "I'm a god of sadness." Eric Harris chose hate. Dylan chose oblivion and decided to take the world with him. He puts on cargo pants, a black t-shirt that says Wrath, and a trench coat, hiding a Tech-9 and sawed-off shotgun. He kisses his mom goodbye, like any other school day, and writes in his planner, "About 26.5 hours left." In the cafeteria, He sets a 20-pound propane bomb with a timer, kisses the duffel, and whispers, "Let's go kill some cops." When the bombs fail, disappointment flashes across his face. He wanted to die in a fireball, not bullets. In the library, he's the one screaming, "Who's ready to die?" while crying. He kills Kyle Velasquez, a special needs kid, without hesitation. He taunts Isaiah Scholes under a table, calling him the slur, then shoots him when Eric says, "Do it." Yet moments later, he's gentle with John Savage, a friend. "Run, just go." Dylan's rampage is frantic, almost panicked. He fires wildly, screams, "Woo!" like it's a game. But his eyes are dead. He lights and throws a Molotov cocktail that fizzles on the table. When Brie Pasquale hides and cries, he lifts his mask and says softly, "It's okay," before walking away. The basement tapes show a different Dylan, laughing, apologizing to his parents, saying, "I didn't want to be mean to people. I just wanted to die." He follows Eric because Eric gave his emptiness a purpose. At 12:08 p.m., after only 13 dead instead of the hundreds they planned, Dylan sits with Eric in the library. He shoots himself through the left temple, the bullet exiting the right. Blood pours from his nose like a faucet. His final journal entry, written hours earlier: "I'm sorry for everything. Goodbye." His mom, Sue, later says, she always knew he was hurting, but never imagined this. She spends the rest of her life speaking about suicide and brain health, so no mother ever has to bury her son for the same reason. Dylan's cross on Rebel Hill is the one most visited. Girls leave flowers, poems, apologies. His writings leak online and become scripture for depressed teens who see themselves in his pain. Documentaries paint him as the sad one, the follower, the one who could have been saved. His parents donate his journals to research. Sue Klebold writes a book whose royalties fund mental health charities. Every year, she lights a candle on September 11th, his birthday, and whispers, "I'm still here, trying to fix what I missed." Columbine's shadow is long, but Dylan's ghost is the quietest. In the new library atrium, his name is never spoken the same way Eric's is. People argue whether he was evil or sick. Survivors say they see him sometimes in dreams, tall, awkward, crying. And on windy April nights, when the trees around the school whisper, some swear they hear a soft voice saying, "I'm sorry," over and over. Forever 17. Forever searching for a way out that never came.